Officials with the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre Commission have canceled a commemoration event that had been scheduled for Monday. Organizers also say they ran into issues with guest speakers, but Department of Homeland Security had previously noted the event could be a target for white supremacists. The attack happened on June 1st, 1921, in an area known as Black Wall Street. It is considered one of the worst events of racial violence in our history. Most black victims were buried in unmarked graves, and right now efforts are ongoing to locate their remains for a proper burial and recognition. Tonight we are joined by Clifton Tolbert. He is an international lecturer, author, and Pulitzer Prize nominee. Sir, thank you for being with us tonight.
My pleasure, ma'am. Thank you.
I'd like to begin with your reaction. I mean, for decades, there were no public ceremonies. There was no memorial or recognition of the deaths that happened on June 1st, 100 years ago. And the efforts to commemorate this event have been long overdue. To have this event canceled just days before it is set to take place is really saddening.
It is, but that's the nature of our country right now. And so we have to do the types of things that would give us all the opportunity to be our best selves, even though the circumstances are entirely different. You just have to think differently in the world today.
As I mentioned a moment ago, the search to unearth remains of people who were buried in unmarked graves that day, who were killed, who were murdered, remains, and they are continuing that process. Can you tell us about what they're doing and what they plan to do if they're able to find any of these remains all these years later?
Well, when a person is found in a dead situation like this, there are laws in the state that governs how those bodies are to be handled. And of course, all of this will be done that way. However, the idea of trying to locate any of those who died during the massacre and to respect their life by honoring their presence on the planet, I think this is definitely part of the plan to honor their life on this planet.
And this day was such a stain on our nation's history. One, that it happened, but two, the cover-up, to not share what had taken place all those years ago. Just to go through some of the numbers, as many as possibly 300 people were killed that day. 8,000 people were left homeless on Black Wall Street when their homes and businesses were burned, and 35 blocks were looted. When you look back at what happened, what do you believe is most important for people to understand, especially those who didn't learn about it in school?
I think it's important to realize that as human beings, we have the capacity to literally be our better selves. However, when unity sort of loses its way, it brings about a whole host of other activities, some of which leads to genocide, some of which leads to a 1921 massacre. What we learn from history is this: history informs the future. What we should not do, what we can do, and what we should commit ourselves to do for the children and the next generation who follows.
Do you think that we're doing enough, given some of the racial tension that we're seeing and some of the racist acts? I mean, the fact that we have to cancel an event that was set to commemorate this day because of threats of racial violence?
Well, it's hard to say for a drowning person. And if you feel as if you're drowning in a sea of forgetfulness and racism, it's very difficult for that person to assume that everything is on schedule. So it's very difficult to say that we're not doing enough or we are doing enough. But the good thing is that America has heard the cries for justice, and there are people across the country that are adhering to that cry, and hopefully those cries will make a difference and our country will become better as a result of that.
Well, I hear you, and although the event may have been canceled, I think together, by talking about it, we will continue to commemorate it, not just on the 100-year mark, but every day after that. Clifton Tolbert, thank you so much for your time and helping us remember.
My pleasure, and thank you, ma'am, for the work you do as well.